Boom, 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 boom. Hi there. We are back once more. So, how y'all doing? I'm back. I'm in normal clothes this time, which is... I'm okay with it. I'm okay with either set, really. I found out through reviewing the actual live stream we did on episode 1 that the video in question was a little quiet. So hopefully it is better here. But needless to say, I am going to continue doing this, and I'm going to keep on going into the entirety of the first season if I can, one episode at a time if I must. So, just as a little reminder, when last we left off, we established that the titular main characters of the Legend of Vox Machina TV show are a collection of psychopaths who would very happily chop off a man's hand because he dared to say the word bitch, and call them out whenever they were boasting and bragging about their supposed superiority. We then found out, of course, that the kingdom is completely inept and void of all logic. The military is not being implemented the way it should be, even though that in this hyper-specific example, it conveniently happens to be the right decision, and we'll get to that in this particular live stream session. And what else? Oh yeah, Pike killed a kid. And we know she killed a kid because she chose not to take a spell that would absolutely have saved him. Now, unless, of course, there is this... unless, of course, there is some reasoning behind why she didn't take Spare the Dying cantrip, which we never learn, by the way. As far as I'm concerned, she's just as responsible for that kid's death as the dragon. Oh yeah, there's a dragon. We also found out that there's a bunch of animation errors in episode 1. And when I say animation errors, I mean it is subpar animation. Like, there are so many instances where the animation quality just dips and dives so fucking deeply. It's honestly a little impressive, considering how much money they ultimately got for the show. But that's nothing. That's nothing compared to what will arrive sometime later. Now, I say sometime later because I genuinely don't remember the exact problems with episode 2. A lot of the notes that I have were being taken in episode 1. So you know what? Let's just get to this one real quick. I'll start off with a... just by looking through some of the notes. Let's see. Wow, there's a lot of stuff. I've got a lot of notes I didn't expect. I had completely forgotten how many notes I had on this thing. That comes in much later. Let's see. Yeah, I've got a lot of notes. I've got a lot of notes on this. Let's see. You know what? I'll just go with this because I want to talk about the opening narration one more time, because the opening narration for episode 1 is legitimately bad. I feel like it wasn't entirely clear when I was talking about it on the live stream, and that's just what happens when you're doing this off the cuff. But this is what I've got written down. This was when I was thinking of more recording it, so it's going to be a little more elegant. We begin with what can only be described as the most generic opening narration I've ever heard. Now, the point of a narration is to explain to the audience something that would feel unnatural for the characters to say in universe, such as the more magical history of the world, like in Lord of the Rings, a brief historical description to explain the setting, like in The Mask of Zorro, or it could be explaining the story's main power system, like in the X-Men films. Each of these are very specific about what we are about to watch and aren't exactly easy to mix up between stories. Here, however, you could switch this entire narration. You could take this entire narration and change one word to make it fit into every other fantasy story ever written. We learn nothing from this opening narration at all. If you really feel like you need to have an opening narration, use that to tell the audience what we need to know to understand this world. What kind of magic exists here? Who can use it? Is there a limit to the magic? Restrictions? Types? Is magic inherited or is it learned? If it's learned, is there a benefit to not using magic? How about the different races? What's the major differences between them? Are there even differences? I don't know, because the show never tells us. This is the beginning example of Vox Machina having an identity crisis, because the writers don't know if it should be Critical Role, D&D, or generic fantasy. Now, despite how that sounds, you can't have it all ways. Yes, I know that this is a variation of their first arc and a story from before they went live, but the key here is dedication. It doesn't commit to any of these three for very long, and each time it tries to switch from one to another, it leads to plot holes or simple poor writing. But yeah, that was the more written down take on the opening narration that comes from episode 1. And it's still bad. The opening narration in episode 1 is still very, very bad. It's very poor. But more on that when it becomes more relevant later on. For now, let me switch to this. And let us dive into episode 2. And just like in episode 1, I'm not going to be playing it for very long. Now you might be wondering, it wasn't very long at all. That was like a second, maybe 2. Here's why. See this right here? This is an encampment of military officers. That's what they are. They are soldiers. They're part of the army. This over here, this is the main city of Amon. Now, for those of you who paid attention to episode 1, you will remember that the king was very... Yes, it is the Vox Machiners. You will remember in episode 1, the king was very adamant about not sending his armies beyond the city walls. He was very, very specific on that. But here they are. Here they are, way outside the city walls. Which means one of 2 things happened. 1, the king's mind was changed. Now, how? We don't know. He was very adamant about not sending them out there, and even if his mind were changed, that is something that we should know. That is something that we need to be informed of. Because otherwise, it suggests the second possibility is more likely. That being, whoever brought these soldiers outside the city walls did so against the explicit wishes of the king himself. Which, as far as I'm aware, is very treasonous. Treachery or undermining to say the fucking least. When the king says, no, we are not deploying our military, you circumvent his authority and you deploy the military, you done fucked up and you need to be punished for what is about to happen. Because, well, the king said no. This ain't a republic. This ain't a democracy. The king holds the power. But let's continue on here. Because the setting alone here is suspect. But they need this to happen not to emphasize. They need this to happen for the sake of the plot. even though they don't. More on that later. Here we go. No, actually. They are not rebel soldiers, books. They are... These soldiers are 100% confirmed to be members of the military for the Kingdom of Tal'Dorei. And we know this because of a character that comes out of one of the tents in a handful of seconds. But let's keep on going here real quick. But actually, this is a good shot. This is a good shot right here because you can see a bunch of weapons. They're not scouts, like I was suggesting in episode 1. They are arming themselves for a full-on battle. They've got these two fucking caskets or boxes or whatever, boxes of arrows alone. Sharpening the sword with a whetstone. I don't think that's actually how you sharpen a sword with a whetstone, but that's a common trope in fantasy series, so I can forgive it.
Sharp, son.
Boom!
In for one hell of a battle.
That guy right there.
Is it true the shale steps fell?
So this guy, right here, he is the general and one of the guys on the council of Tal'Dorei. These aren't rebel soldiers. These are part of Amon's forces. They have been deployed. Now, this is also, apparently, right after the shale steps were destroyed by the dragon in the previous episode. Video up? Yes, I can. And you know what? Let's try... yeah. Also, let's just max this shit out.
Aye. And the monster is still unknown.
How's that? Is that better?
But you are the arms of Amon, entrusted by Sovereign Uriel with the safety of the realm.
Nice, nice. But even then, so, continuing on, this is even more confirming that, number one, they are the military of Amon, and number two, they have been explicitly told that they're going out to fight whatever this monster is. Now, they don't know what the monster is just yet, despite the fact that in episode 1 we find out that simply giving a silver piece to a 5-year-old will give you all of the necessary information to find out that it flies, it has giant wings, it hides in the storm, and it is so strong physically that it can just knock down 50 to 60 foot tall trees on a mountain. Not to mention the fact that they later find giant footprints, which, even if you can't tell exactly what type of beast it is because it's too muddy, you can most certainly tell the size. And one of the characters on the council has fought dragons before. We learn this in episode 2. So, even if you don't want to go immediately to the idea, did I do the animation? No! I have not. Oh, no. I haven't talked about much of the animation yet. The animation is very hit and miss. Sometimes it's passable, and other times it's just fucking awful. I remember there being 1 or 2 scenes where the animation was really, really good, but I can't remember off the top of my head where the animation is. But, essentially, the big problem with this particular scene is the fact that the military is being deployed at all. Because we were told that's explicitly not what's supposed to happen. But let's move on a little bit because I feel like I'm beating a dead horse on that front.
We don't need to know the enemy. We only need to know ourselves.
I was intending on going for a while. That line was so fucking trash. The mind controlling of the king does not happen until the middle of episode 3, to the best of my knowledge. At this point in the series, he is not under mind control at all. Now, from what I remember, in the original campaign, yes. In the original campaign, there was supposedly an instance where one of his royal advisors was actually using spells to mind control him. Because I believe they mention in the campaign that after the Whitestone arc, this is the second time that Vox Machina has saved him from a mind control threat. And they kind of suggest that that's one of the reasons why he does what he does at the end of that particular storyline. But here, they never have any mention of mind control of any kind. He's just an idiot who, through his idiocy, does the right thing. Because apparently, not sending out the military is one of the only things that gave him time. But we'll talk about that later. Strangely enough, Campaign 1, vastly superior until it gets to like episode 60, something like that. We don't need to know our enemy. We only need to know ourselves. Yeah, no. If you have no idea what enemy you're facing, especially in a world like this, you're gonna get murdered. And quick. Imagine if the enemy that they were facing was a lich. They'd be fucked. They'd be so screwed. It'd be fucking it'd be amusing, to say the least. Something that I do want to mention real quick, and I'll emphasize it more when a certain character enters the story proper. A lot of diverse characters here in this lineup. We've got an elf, human, elf, tiefling, I want to say? There's no tail, but there's clearly horns here, unless those are very weird headpieces. I don't know. This is a slight world-building problem in the sense that, at a glance, you would never be able to tell who is local and who is foreign to the Kingdom of Amon. Now, ultimately, if it's never a topic, you can kind of push it to the side. It's not imperative to the plot. It is an issue if it becomes relevant to a character, however. It's almost like I'm hinting at something. Now, I would just like to take this opportunity before I press play again. If you knew yourselves and your enemy, that'd be even better. And you can find out who the enemy is had you sent scouts to those villages to, shift through the debris and find out shit like that. But no, don't listen to a guy who doesn't have any military experience but is a fan of military operations and, has been a strategist since he was fucking 5.
Our training, our devotion to this land. No matter the danger, victory is ours if we fight with honor and raise our swords on high.
You heard the general.
If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. That is true. And I feel like that's where they were going with this. Now, bit of a spoiler here. I'm jumping ahead a little bit. The general is the dragon. He is the dragon in disguise at this point in time. So you could make the argument that he deliberately fucked that up while masquerading it as an inspiring speech to try and get these guys into a false sense of security. You can make that argument, and I'd be willing to buy that. Because otherwise, if they genuinely thought that was an impressive speech, I'd recommend going back and looking at some old World War I, World War II footage. Some of the inspiring speeches from the great men back then. Might want to take some notes.
For Amon! As one!
As one!
What a load of shite.
Smart man. Smart man right there. Also, nice mutton chops. Oh, Lady Allura. I call her useless blonde white bitch. Primarily because she's fucking useless.
Let's finish making camp. A storm's blowing through tonight.
How ominous. How ominous indeed. Now, the animation here,
Eyes up!
relatively fine.
We've got him coming! Stand your ground! Archers! Make ready! Let loose! Fire!
So, something that I do want to mention right here and now. Why aren't you shitting your pants at this? As far as we are aware, this is an adult dragon that is barrowing down on top of you. Now, it's entirely possible that she was given the directions to speak and act as though she were that way, but I don't know. I feel like if a giant-ass dragon is barrowing down on top of you, maybe speak with a little more urgency. You know, maybe emphasize the severity of having a giant blue goddamn dragon coming down on top of you. Although, I don't know why I said although. Something else that is of note here is that the dragon appears after large gust of wind and a storm literally starts blowing in. That implies that a blue dragon can influence the weather around it. Now, whether or not that's true, I don't really know. We do know that at the end of episode 1, he was able to hide himself in a mist, in this giant fog, before making himself known. We also know that he attacked the village next to the shale steps during a storm. And we also know that at the beginning of episode 1, he was also shrouded in this fog. Everything... Yes, I am. I am reviewing it because, quite frankly, I don't understand how people like this show. So, it implies, with everything that we've seen in episode 1, and even here, that blue dragons can affect the weather as they fly. Now, to what degree? We don't know. But every single time, it has been under the cover of a storm or a fog or something to mask its approach, to mask its appearance, or to mask just its direction of movement. Which should also be a clue to the identity of the creature that they never actually bothered to find out. Magic is dope, and they're like, yes. Yep. Lots and lots of dick jokes.
Ready to catapult!
So, once again, we are shown an instance of the fact that a dragon can one-shot people. With a single sweep of the lightning breath, he was able to kill a bunch of people. Plot armor is real with the protagonists, I'm just saying that. Also, that's not a catapult. That's not a catapult. That's a... That's not a catapult. That's a modified fucking siege ballistic. Like, I would dare to say that is a ye medieval railgun, just with an explosive as opposed to anything else. Ballista, yeah. And watch how nothing affects this mighty beast! Lots of blood. No big deal. Lots of blood. Now again, I'm just pausing to put emphasis on two things. One, this dragon is able to kill people with single swipes just passing by. He's faster than everyone on the ground. He's stronger. Yeah. His face is gone. And the second part that I'm putting emphasis on is exactly how strong this dragon's hide is. He was hit with what looked like a siege level ballista with an explosion launched at him. Now, exactly how strong that explosion is, well, light up a powder keg sometime and just tell me how the concussive blast feels from 20 feet away. Bye-bye. And now that's the opening. Now, thematically, it works. If we're talking about purely with what you've got in your garage, Blue Ox, I'm not sure that's a wise idea. Thematically, it's a good idea to have the dragon lay waste to something on screen for us, because we never actually see it lay waste to the villages or the towns. So it's a good idea to remind the audience how powerful it is, and it's a good idea to show the audience how quickly it can decimate things, to show us and reaffirm exactly how dangerous this beast is. The problem stems from when you have to beg the question, how then do you beat it? Regular arrows not being able to pierce the hide makes total sense, barring the occasional sweet spots like the thinner parts of the wings, the eyes, into the mouth or something like that, or hell, even between some of the joints. But even then, we're talking about how difficult is it to hit the bullseye of a target that's stationary. We're now talking about trying to hit a dragon that's flying easily 120 feet, if not higher in the air. So, regular archers, understandable. Ballistic siege weapons, those things can tear down castle walls, depending on the ballista. But if you get hit with that thing and you don't get a mark, that's flat out stating how powerful that thing's hide is. You need to give me a really damn good explanation to explain why a dragon can be felled if a siege weapon can't do it. Skipping through the intro because there's really nothing to say except for possibly animation and sound. And by sound I mean music.
And you saw it? What did this?
The beast is a blue dragon, sire.
Here's a bit of a problem. Get this. Vox Machina, the TV show, is very much like The Last Jedi, in the sense that every single time I think about it, I notice something else that's wrong. This is one of those things. I was so hung up on the fact that the military had been deployed against the wishes of the king that I had completely forgotten something very, very important. We know, and because I spoiled it, that this guy right here is the Blue Dragon. But even if he weren't, let me ask you something. Whom did you not see during that opening sequence of the episode? You didn't see him. The other members of the military, they knew he was with them. And yet, he wasn't there. He was not there when the Blue Dragon attacked. Now, he will say...
Only a few of us managed to escape.
Only a few of us managed to escape. He has stated just then that there are other soldiers that managed to escape with him. Also, sup, Beers? I'm doing pretty good. How are you? Now, here's what I noticed. In the event that he was the only guy that returned alive, massive red flags. Massive red flags. Because you mean to tell me that you deployed our military against my wishes, or let's just say that he got permission for this one, because it works either way. You deployed our military, and you're the only one who came back when a Blue Dragon attacked our troops. You fled in the face of danger, and, well, you're the general. If you're on the front lines, I expect you to be on the front lines with our troops. But you returned alone? And everyone else died? Suspicious. Very suspicious. Now, if he's not the first person to come back, take a wild guess what will happen if only one of those soldiers happened to have noticed something, that he wasn't there with them. A blue dragon is not exactly quiet, as we just saw. So, the thing is, there's no way he could make the excuse that he was sleeping through it. Because again, blue dragon, not exactly subtle. So they would be able to inform him, they even have to mention it casually, that, General Krieg was never actually with us in the battle with that blue dragon. He never showed up at all. In fact, I only saw him after the beast had flown away. Casually mentioning that, both of those scenarios, even if you don't put two and two together and make up, oh, well, he's working with the dragon, or he is the dragon, incompetence needs to be at the forefront of your mind when you think about either of those two scenarios, which should have been brought up here. But because they wanted to have that scene at the beginning of this episode, they just kind of forgot. They just kind of forgot that that's what happens when military operations go fucking sideways. They question everything from top to bottom to figure out what the fuck happened. Unscathed to boot. Oh, well, yes. Unscathed completely. He muscled his hair a little bit. But what book did you get? Or he knew he didn't kill. Possibly.
My gods. Allura, you've dealt with such creatures in the past. How do we fight it?
It's entirely... here's the thing. It's possible. You can make that argument. But even if we're talking about it from that perspective, you still have to beg the question why no one would have noticed that Krieg wasn't with them during the retreat until the beast was 100% away. Because that's the thing. If there were soldiers left alive in that area, then, well... Okay, let me break it down. Situation A. The dragon flees before killing all of the soldiers there, and there are soldiers in that encampment. They haven't officially fled yet. Well, that's still suspicious. Because the guards would have to even mention, hey, we weren't all dead. We weren't all defeated. The dragon just flew away. We couldn't scratch it, and it just fled. We don't know why it fled. Situation B. They were fleeing, and the dragon flies off after that. Now, option A is more plausible to suggest that they didn't see him, and they thought, oh, in the confusion, I just didn't notice him. But in situation B, they would have been fleeing before the dragon flew away, and they absolutely would have noticed that Krieg was not with them until the dragon was 100% gone. Now, even in situation A, there's still the massive problem that comes from the fact that the soldiers would have only needed to mention the dragon flew away before we were all decimated. And there's still some suspicion on that. Because why would a dragon swoop down, kill some of you, and then fly away before finishing the job? How do you eat ice cream without getting any in your mustache? Honestly, it's kind of like this. You just kind of condition your mustache away, and then just try to get your upper lip over the ridge of the ice cream first. Take some practice. Game codes, comic book. I mean, if the comic book is still good, it's a win-win. It's a free book. So, moving on here, we've confirmed that blonde, useless white bitch has fought dragons in the past. Let's see what her response is.
Well, that was a red dragon years ago.
But to my experience, dragons are fiercely intelligent, calculating creatures. Their machinations run deep.
Now, the important thing that I want to point out here is that she specifically stated red dragon. Now, pair this with what happens later on in the episode, and Vox Machina is suggesting that dragons have more differences to them than just their type of breath weapon and like the equivalent elemental resistances. She is suggesting that the simple fact that it's a red dragon that she fought makes her knowledge on how to fight dragons not worthy to mention, other than saying that dragons are fiercely intelligent and their machinations run deep. Pair this up with what happens later, and then later still, and we've got ourselves a bit of a problem. Red Herring returns.
Ah, Sir Finn's finally joins us. I hope this crisis hasn't kept you from your skulking.
I've been gathering intelligence we sorely lack. Seems your band of fools have gone missing.
Gathering intelligence. A smart idea. If only there were a section of the military force you could have deployed to do just that. Such as scouts. Scouts would have been very useful to determine this without sacrificing any lives. But what do I know?
Safe to say you've sent Vox Machina to their doom?
Doom? We don't know the meaning of the word.
I wish you did.
Well, I certainly don't.
Sovereign, hold
I forgot he said that.
on to your goddamn crown. We've discovered that the monster is none other than a blue dragon!
We know.
And I think this is why they did what they did. Well, I think it counts if they're Komodo dragons as well. But this reaction right here from the council is most likely why they had the fight the way they did with the general masquerading thing. So that they can have this deflating joke moment with Vox Machina to make it seem like they weren't as effective as they could have been. Even though they literally solved in 5 minutes what took them at least a week to just survive.
Did you kill it?
I wouldn't say kill, really. We're still kind of working on that part.
I can't believe you made it out alive. How did you survive?
Trade secrets, I'm afraid, Kriegi.
We hid and it flew away.
Wait, how did we survive that?
Saw some of those bearded dragons would be nice too. So, couple of things. One, and this is a bit of a what's the word? Not superfluous. Superficial. This is a superficial praise. I enjoy Percy's deadpan expression, and I enjoy his deadpan delivery. We hid, and we lived. That's what fucking happened. I like that. I just kind of do. It's real. I like it. But the other thing that I need to mention here is, once again, this
These
right here.
blabbering fools are useless, sire. Perhaps if we may...
Now, if you remember from episode 1, it is established that whenever a dragon is nearby, Vex gets a crushing headache. Now, why exactly it formed like that, I have no idea. They wanted to give us a visual sign of it turning on. I can get that. You could have chose anything better. But what I want to emphasize here is, once again, there's an inconsistency in the range and the effect that it actually holds. So, they're trying to suggest that this is he's Red Herring. This is the guy that is in league with the dragon. The actual guy, he's up there. He's the dragon in disguise. Now, need I remind you that the first time it went off in this same throne room, once again, they were up here and Vox Machina were down here again, right? There's a distance. But it doesn't actually show up for a good, I want to say, minute and a half, 2 minutes, while they're in that same room. Here, it's only been about 10 to 20 seconds. It pops up. But in the previous episode, there was also an instance when the dragon was a very far distance away and it flared up even stronger. What I'm saying is it's an inconsistent power, and it's literally only there to give the illusion of concern. And I say illusion of concern because I can't think of a better word than that to describe how forced it feels.
Made an offering to the dragon. Gold in exchange for peace.
Why don't we shake its hand and offer it a fucking pint while we're at it?
A dragon cannot be bartered with. If it desires a monster's destruction, it will not relent.
You heard her, sire.
So, here's another thing that I need to mention that is in reference to what I said in the first episode. It's a little unclear as to what people know and what people don't. So, we do know that in the later part of the episode, the blue dragon has a hoard full of treasure, full of gold, and full of jewels and all that stuff, so it's full of very rare items. The suggestion of bribing the dragon or appeasing the dragon could work, but it is suggested that that's not the case, so I guess we have to assume that that's just not how dragons work in the Critical Role world, which is fine. That's totally fine. Like, if they want to establish this, that, or the other, as long as it doesn't contradict itself, that's totally fine. But once again, I have to emphasize the fact that Allura has fought dragons in the past, but she believes that her knowledge of them is insufficient because the color of the dragons are different. Vex, on the other hand, has said that all dragons cannot be trusted, they can't be bartered with, regardless of the color of the dragon. So, some things are universal and others aren't. More on that later.
You know what must be done.
But what if it attacks the city? We'd be sitting ducks.
What would you have me do?
Oh, shit! Oh, shit! I think we have our confirmation! I think we have our confirmation that the king is still dead set on not sending out the army. Holy shit! Yeah, Krieg should be in big fucking trouble. He should be in big fucking trouble because we saw them. We saw the military outside the city walls. He deployed the military. He got the military officers killed. He should be in big fucking trouble. Because this one, right here, I think her name is Kima. What if the dragon attacks the city? Implying that they'd be... Fucking hell, man. Oh, shit. He legitimately sent the military outside the walls against the king's permission, against his wishes. Fucking hell, man. Yeah, the General Krieg here should be reprimanded. He absolutely should be reprimanded right now because the king said no and he did it anyway.
Let it burn more farmland? Slaughter more innocents? No, we will bring the fight to it. On our terms. General, you may move our soldiers at dawn.
But sire, you know as...
I have made my decision, Lady Kima.
Ah, Kima, yeah, I was right.
This council is adjourned.
All right, you heard him. Clear out.
Hey, hands off! I'm leaving. Jeez.
Don't kill it before we do. Your offer's still on the table, right?
I'd just like the court to note that I hate Scanlan. I hate him in this show. I remember him being not nearly as good. Sorry, not nearly as bad in the show. At first. Oh. You'd have a... Well... I think you'd be fine. I think you'd be fine, Blue Ox. I think you'd be fine. Considering that she probably doesn't weigh much. Another superficial element. That was cute. I'll admit it. I superficially, I like the, the guards cuddling with the attack bear. That was a nice superficial thing that I liked. I liked that.
I felt it again. That same feeling I had around the dragon. There must be a connection. One of them is working with that fucker.
Yeah.
So, here's something that I don't quite understand. Why are they repeatedly suggesting that one of them is working with the dragon if Vex herself knows that the headaches appear when a dragon is close by? Does she just collapse from a migraine whenever she goes to, fucking hell, what's the place where Dragonborn are? They're dragon descendant, essentially. They've got dragon blood. Does she just keel over and collapse and die from a headache because there's so many people with dragon connections? Why do they... Just why? I want to know. Because every time we see it, it only occurs when a dragon is nearby. But she keeps on suggesting that you only need to be working with the dragon for her power to go off. Why are they giving us conflict of information here? Also, probably, if Sam is directing this show, there's probably a good chance that Scanlan is being able to do all the bullshit because of that explicitly.
Yeah, I bet. I bet it's Allura. I never trust anyone prettier than me.
There's a long list of people you don't trust then. Because, Scanlan, you are not that attractive. Scanlan is not that attractive.
Dipshits. Fince.
The creepy one. Looked like a withered piece of scrap leather.
Are they just saying that because he's a drow? How rude. How just blatantly rude. Why would you assume that a drow elf is working with a dragon? How racist are you? Are you suggesting that drow can't be trusted at all?
Oh, I didn't catch anybody's name.
So, what do we do next?
Vax and Pike go to Gilmore's.
I would also like to point out that they are currently having this conversation in front of two guards that absolutely should be able to hear them right now. And they are literally discussing about Fince working with a dragon. Like, we can see the guard right there. I don't believe that the favorite enemy class thing in 5e gives you a headache. I believe the favorite enemy thing is more like it gives you advantage on like survival checks, history checks, and things like that when you're dealing with it. And maybe during combat. Maybe. I'd have to look at the book again. I haven't made a ranger in a long time.
Buy us a weapon that can kill a dragon.
With what? We're flat fucking broke.
Please. With the way that man dotes on you, I'm sure you can work something out. The rest of us will split up and search for Fince. If you find him, don't let him out of your sight.
That sounds like a plan, but you're not the only one with ideas, Vex.
Is that so? Please, Scanlan, tell me yours.
And now the battle of the egos, as two characters that I vividly despise go at each other. Personally, I'm hoping for mutual destruction. Scorched earth and all that. Scanlan can kill Vex, and the bear can eat Scanlan. Sounds like a win-win.
I'll tell you when I have one.
Also another instance of failed comedy, because they want to shoehorn Scanlan jokes into every 30 fucking seconds. It gets annoying real quick. But I think that one is largely just due to the fact that they feel like having a lot of conversation and having no open air is better. In reality, no. Because there are several examples that just prove that having quiet moments is incredibly beneficial to the story, to world building, to character building, and the location that you're in. Pick an example from any sort of movie that has stood the test of time. I guarantee you that they all have moments where they're allowed to be quiet. They're allowed to not talk. And they're allowed to simply engage with the world in such a way that allows you to understand how they operate without them chatting around. Also, I wasn't aware that you were into Vor, Blue Ox. I'm learning more about you every day. And here we go.
You have entered a realm of mystery.
A character that many people enjoy. I enjoyed him as well during the campaign 1, for better or worse, primarily just due to Matthew Mercer's talented acting. Now, here's something that I did find interesting. Apparently, Matthew Mercer wanted to be the voice of Gilmore because he liked being the character so much during the campaign. However, the people that were publishing the show refused him. I wonder if you can guess why.
Of marvel. Welcome to Gilmore's glorious goods! Enchanted curio.
So yeah, I wonder if you can guess why they told him he couldn't voice Gilmore. It's a little messed up, actually. We're talking about a guy who is very, very talented. I don't think anyone can dispute that Matthew Mercer's talented. He wants to play a character that he made. But in order to actually get this thing published the way that they want to, they refuse him. Because Matthew Mercer is white and straight, and Gilmore, neither of those two things. Now, I don't actually know if that is for sure. I got that information from Cloud and Fish TV, which they covered it when it happened. No, it was either Cloud and Fish TV or... yeah, I think it was Cloud and Fish TV. And they're the ones that cover a bunch of topics as they occur. But Gilmore has arrived, finally.
And magical artifacts at discounted prices. I take gold, silver, platinum. Why, if it isn't the mysterious Vaxel Dan? I was hoping you would swing back through again.
Now, here, we finally get to the point where I can discuss why I have been mentioning the various colors of the people in Emon. As I mentioned earlier, right? Electrum, poor business choices. So, earlier I was talking about the different colors and the different races that are apparently, supposedly, native to the Kingdom of Tal'Dorei. I also mentioned that if that is what you established from the get-go with something that you made, ultimately, it's whatever you choose. Now, Gilmore here is where I would point to how it can, however, negatively affect the world building and character building. Because in the original campaign, Gilmore was the only character, to my knowledge, who was explicitly described as having dark skin. Everyone else, no. Everyone else was essentially being described as white. Now, one of the reasons why it worked in the campaign is because Gilmore is not from Tal'Dorei. We only learn that during the Chroma Conclave, where they have to go to a desert kingdom, which turns out to be where Gilmore was originally from. He left the desert kingdom to come to Amon. So, from there, you can kind of have this moment of realization going, oh, that's why he looks so different. But you don't get that if every other person who lives in Amon doesn't look white or looks like Gilmore. You have no reason to suspect Gilmore isn't a native to Amon, because everyone else who isn't a white human apparently lives here. And that's another reason why they needed to take this thing slower. Maybe make 3 episodes as opposed to 2, and actually have an episode where they explore Tal'Dorei itself. Give us a reason more than, oh, look, a kid has died, to care about why we should want a dragon to not burn this place to the ground. And also to emphasize, well, this is what the people of Amon look like. Everyone who does not look like this, and for the sake of this we'll say white humans, everyone who doesn't look like this is not a native to Amon. But they don't want to do that, because they are under contract to be diverse. Which, once again, if you're not doing something like that, and it's your own work, fair enough, I'd still make the argument that we still need to know what different cultures look like, so that we can tell at a glance. Yeah. You're trying to make me be more careful with my words. That's just going to slow things down even more, and no. As much as I like Gilmore in the campaign, I'm not going to give him that.
Glad to see you've lost none of your charm, Gilmore.
Oh, listen to you. Don't stop. I can't take it. I've missed your visits.
Hi.
See, that's the type of humor that, you know, that's what's next? Women? Yeah. Accurate. And you know, speak of the devil, and she shall appear, because Pike killed a kid. This is the type of interrupting humor that can work, where you've got these two characters that clearly have a thing going on, but there's something more important, so an interruption needs to happen, and it can be that kind of not laugh out loud funny, but a humorous, oh, right, let's keep going, right? But as we establish, I believe we established this in episode 1, but most certainly by the end of episode 2, they don't, she killed a kid at the end of episode 1. Now, they try to write this off as saying, I'm still too weak from before. Here's the problem. Spare the Dying doesn't take anything. It does not take a spell slot. It does not take material components. You simply need to touch something, say a word, and boom, stabilized. That is one of the better clerical cantrips that you get as soon as you pick the class. If this is D&D, if this is Critical Role, she absolutely should have that cantrip spell. Which, if she did, the kid would be saved. So we can only assume that it's not Critical Role or D&D, because if it were, she should certainly fucking have it, considering that she prides herself on being a healer. Spare the Dying is the perfect fucking backup spell for when you lose spell slots and you still need to heal people. Manslaughter? I'm calling it murder because it's harsher sounding.
So, are you here on business or pleasure?
Something else that we do need to mention here is the fact that this guy is able to apparently do one of two things. One, he is either able to teleport items into existence with his magic, or criminal negligence, maybe. He's either able to teleport items into existence, or remove illusions / add illusions to essentially give them a wider view of his wares. Don't fucking try it. I know you're gonna make a goddamn joke. Now, again, this is where the opening narration would have been very important, and this is why we need to be shown, and we need to be explained. It needs to be explained that magic has a limit, or magic has requirements. Now, He's able to just flick his hands and all of a sudden magical items or non-magical items just appear out of nowhere. Whether they're illusions or physical objects being teleported in, how often can he do that? Because Pike healed a guy once, made a couple of shields, and I believe blessed a weapon. That's all she did. And then all of a sudden she was too tired after being carried for an hour to save a kid's dying breath.
Oh, business, I'm afraid. We need information on blue dragons. Particularly, how to kill them.
Well, for 20,000 gold, I'll sell you this handy-dandy magic lance of dragon slaying. A fantastic bargain.
Here we go. This right here throws into question something very important that I realized has not been said yet. It hasn't been said yet, so I'll pay attention. Keep this Lance of Dragon Slaying in mind. Keep this Lance of Dragon Slaying in mind.
We can't presently afford such a weapon, but perhaps some advice for a tiny fee?
Hopefully what you're offering isn't too tiny. I suppose size isn't everything.
We need to know if blue dragons have any weaknesses.
Weaknesses, eh? Well, to start, they're egomaniacs. They hate being insulted and have tremendous vanity.
So they are doing the egos and vanity. They are doing that. They have established that, yes, appeasing the dragon could work. He is flat out stating that it could work.
Not that I can relate.
Hi, still here. Is there any way to stop them?
Honestly, there's no simple way to kill a dragon.
No, there absolutely is. It's called the Lance of Dragon Slaying. You just had one. This is it. This is it. He is going to explain that to kill a blue dragon, you need to do something very specific. You can't make that claim and simultaneously say that a Lance of Dragon Slaying will work. Now, he's not bullshitting, because he has no reason to see this guy die. So the Lance of Dragon Slaying will most likely fucking work. He has no reason to bullshit. We know the Lance of Dragon Slaying will work because he's not going to sell a guy that he wants to bang a faulty weapon that won't kill a dragon. And yet, they're saying that the Lance of Dragon Slaying will work, while simultaneously saying that dragons are so unique and different that simply having fought a red dragon does not mean that you know what you're doing against a blue dragon. There's no simple way to kill a dragon. Those three statements don't go together.
Even in tomes of old, legends of their destruction are largely poetic drivel. The worm shall only find defeat in the gorge where the twin rivers meet. See? Cute, but
useless.
So, once again, they're emphasizing the fact that dragons have specific weaknesses, which is not how it is in D&D. They have established this for the sake of the show and the show alone. Now, if they hold true to this, it's simply them establishing something within their own universe, and that's fine. But you cannot say that a dragon shall only find defeat when the two rivers meet, while simultaneously having a weapon that specifically kills dragons. You can't do it. And we know he's not bullshitting because he wants Vax to survive, because he wants to swallow that half-elf cock. So, that's the thing. You can't have it both ways. Now, you can make the argument that this is a tome of old, and therefore this was written before the Lance of Dragon Slaying. It's entirely possible. But if that were the case, that means however old this tome is, surely there's a more recent edition to inform us of how a dragon can be killed. Because I've spoken with hunters, none of their manuals on how to kill animals are poetry. Like, in fact, it's very explicit on how you track things, how you find and identify the droppings of the creature that you're hunting, where to kill them, as in like if you're using with a bow and arrow, where do you want to aim with a bow and arrow? If you're going with a gun, you're going with a trap, it goes like, how do you track this thing? How do you trap this thing? How do you skin this thing? It's all very descriptive because they want you to survive. And if dragons are as powerful as they say, guess what? Whoever wrote this is an asshole. Because you're basically saying, I don't actually want you to survive. I want myself and only myself to have the glory of killing a dragon. But I'll give you a hint so that I'm not totally a dick. I mean, with how heavy this guy looks, he won't be a top for very long.
While dragon anatomy is a topic for many a scholar, anyone close enough to find out seems to get themselves snapped up. Sorry I couldn't be more helpful, but you get what you pay for.
Gilmore, this is all very helpful. Even the bullshit. If we survive this, I owe you dinner.
You owe me more than that, my handsome half-elf.
All right, you two, foreplay's over. We should probably go find our friends.
Now the strange thing is that, right? Now the strange thing is, if it weren't for the fact that the information and weapons that they reveal in Gilmore's shop are completely contradictory, the actual dialogue exchange between Gilmore and Vax is actually totally fine. And Pike being there as the straight man also works for any type of possible comedic moment. That's the thing. Vox Machina does have a lot of characters that could make a very fascinating show. The problem is that they don't actually know what to do with those characters or with the information that they have. They just don't understand it. So while they're able to do dialogue fairly well, sometimes they don't understand that characters should be allowed to just talk. There's a term that I really only found out relatively recently within the past 2 years, which are called bottle episodes. Bottle episodes are essentially what you get when you have characters that normally are in plot-heavy scenarios and you just put them in a room and they just talk for the entire length of the episode. What do they talk about? How do they interact with each other that they don't normally communicate with? I'm not convinced they'd be able to really do that with these characters. Not because they couldn't improv in the campaign proper, but because, for whatever reason, they seem to think that you can't have characters just sit down and talk. Have a conversation.
So, what are we supposed to be doing again?
Oh.
You get it? Because Grog's stupid. You get it?
Searching for Fence or something? God, this is boring. Hold up. You know where that creepy little taint raisin would be? The brothel. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can investigate there for hours if we need to.
Yeah.
Also, there's no way that the guy who's just moving a cart full of ale would not notice that and not have a problem with what just happened.
But won't Vex be kinda pissed if we ain't doing what she said to?
I don't give a wet fart what she thinks. Clearly, I'm the brains of this operation.
Really? But she told me you have dick for brains, which doesn't seem possible.
You know what? Screw Vex and her stupid feather head. I'm going to the brothel.
And then right on cue, without any work whatsoever, the most annoying character of the show happens to stumble upon Red herring! Or perhaps I should call him blue herring. Because he's a drow. In the upper portion of the realm. In broad daylight. Where drow are not supposed to be able to do this type of thing. And now we know why the barrel was there. It was so that we can have a cheap gag about him hiding in the barrel of mead.
It's that thin-lipped crypt keeper. Come on.
Again, the guy that was here, he was just waiting, and wait a minute. How did he get the wagon up there? And why did he put the wagon up there? Hold up. First time today, I'm going back. Yeah. He puts the wagon down here and is waiting. He's looking in the same direction. Eyes are closed, though.
Investigate there for...
No, his eyes are open now. It's the... Wow! Actually, hold up. Wow! Animation is really bad. I'm not saying, like... The motion, even though...
If we need...
As soon as this guy's done like this, he just stops moving. And I don't think these two ever move.
Yeah, but won't Vex be kinda pasty?
Yeah, it's just a fucking painting!
I don't give a wet fart what she thinks.
They're just
Clearly,
static
I'm
images in the background.
brains of this
Nothing.
operation.
No one is moving. These two are the only ones. It's a fucking map painting in the background. They were paid how much money and they can't have a single thing moving in the background?
Really? Because he told me you have dick for brains. Which doesn't...
Another shot. It is like there's nothing to the side.
Possible.
There's nothing to his side. Even here, nothing to Grog's side. He shows up. And then randomly right next to him.
It's that thin-lipped crypt keeper. Come on.
Right next to him there to masquerade, and then pop. So they moved Scanlan and Grog to the center, where before they were closer over here, and then they moved this guy from down below to on top of this raised plateau. Wow! Because they couldn't have just had him down there and done the same thing with this. They couldn't have just done the same thing. Also, does this imply that this guy just walked up and then walked down? Yeah, I would do that too. But still, like, this is something that I don't comment on too much because it's not exactly story heavy. The animation, and more specifically, what is established to be physically here versus physically there, changes constantly. It changes constantly, and it's very annoying the moment you start noticing it. Now this right here, again, they could have just moved it back, left it down here and done the exact same thing. But they moved it here. I don't even know why. It almost feels like this was done, like, much, much later. And they knew the wagon was next to him, but they didn't know, or they didn't remember that it was down below. It wasn't actually on the plateau. Now, I don't know how many of you have actually used wagons, how many of you have used wheelbarrows recently, but with wooden wheels, you are not bringing this thing up stone steps like that with 3 casks of alcohol. That ain't happening. You are not lifting that thing up on this. No, not happening. Now, of course, we have this where we don't actually get to get a feel for where everything is.
Hey, can you see him from up there?
That way, across the street. He's sneaking up to that fancy manor. Oh, stop!
I enjoyed that. Let's watch it again.
Across the street.
Let's
He's
watch it
sneaking
again.
up to that fancy manor. Oh, stop!
I shouldn't take such pleasure in that, because that implies that it was funny. It is funny.
Across the
Watching
street.
it again.
He's sneaking up to that fancy manor.
Boom! Oh, fuck you, Scanlan. I hate this character so much. I enjoy when he gets hurt. That's a short sword. That's not a dagger. That's a short sword. This is a dagger. That's not a dagger. That's a full-on short sword. I know it looks smaller than it actually is on this image right here, but when he pulled that fucking thing out, it was goddamn longer than his arm. This thing doesn't even reach my elbow. Does not even reach my elbow. Just mentioning it. Not actually really relevant to the story or anything like that, but...
Okay. That skanky goat groper is up to no good. You keep an eye on that house. I'll go get the others.
Right. Can you pick me up a sandwich on the way back?
Ah, shit, it froze.
No! I'm
Okay,
not going on a food run, dummy.
Please?
What do you want?
That's fine. It's a fine joke. It's not particularly funny, but it's fine.
Oh, so good.
Sturdy lock. Nothing a little magical song can't handle.
Open your back door, baby. Loosen your hinges, I'll show you my key.
Damn. That really works.
What if I heat the metal and melt the lock?
What the hell, Caleb? This is imported silk.
So the joke here is that they can't open a door. That's the joke. Now, the reason why this is in here is because in D&D, you need to make a check to open up a locked door. And there is a particular moment where I think they spend a good 20 minutes in-game just constantly finding reasons to re-roll to pick the lock of a door, and they keep on fucking up. It happens. It's one of the... It's one of the moments in D&D where it's spontaneous. There's no fucking reason why you should fail over and over and over again, but you do. It doesn't work here. It does not work here. Now we are about to hear from Pike that there's nothing magical about this lock. Scanlan just attempted to use a... Is it literally just called the Bardic Knock spell? I do know that they basically have a spell that can unlock doors. I know that they've got that. Didn't work. Why? No idea. No one actually knows. Because the show is inconsistent with what it wants and what it doesn't want to happen.
The lock doesn't seem to be magical. I'm not sensing anything.
Can you people do nothing right? It's just a damn door.
Also, that's not how lockpicking works. That's not how it works. You need two. You don't need... You need more than just one. If there are any lockpicks out there that would like to prove me wrong and can open a lock with a single toothpick or a metal pick, I'll let you have that. By all means.
All it takes is a little finesse. Amateurs.
That was my toothpick.
Honestly, it's one of those instances where they wanted to throw a reference in, even though it doesn't actually help with what is being shown on screen. Okay. general rule of thumb, whenever you're having a story, you want everything that you can use, barring a power that only the villain has. You want everything that can be used explained, or at the very least showcased, within the first, let's say, the first third of the story. So, no, you did not miss any. Well, you did miss the part where Scanlan got repeatedly bashed into the side of a sign that I kept on going back and seeing again, because it was very funny to watch him just slam his head into a metal sign. That was very, that was cathartic for me. So, everything that you can use should be established within the first third of your story. Now, the first 2 episodes of this season are completely separate from the rest of it. You don't need to watch the first 2 episodes to understand the rest of the season. However, it is the first 2 episodes of the season, meaning that, whether I like it or not, it's a part of the season. And so, it counts as the first third of the overall season that they're going for. So everything that they establish within the first, I want to say 3 or 4 episodes, let me check. Actually, I'm going to double check. Vox Machina episode list. 12 episodes. They've got 12 episodes, as I expected. So that would mean that about the first 3 or 4 episodes, everything within the first 4 episodes, that is you establishing what is and is not possible for your story. Everything else that happens after that needs to be something that happens as a direct result, or a natural progression of what you've already established, or something that doesn't contradict what is established. Right? Now, ideally, you don't have to make anything new and like an ass pull, for example, which is what happens in this show, but we'll get to that sometime later. They have established here, I forgot where I was going with this. I guess they established that non-magical locks can't be magically picked. You need to have just someone manually pick the lock. I mean, if they're sticking to that, then I suppose that would give us a reason for why someone would pick a rogue over a wizard. But you're kind of taking away some tricks of the trade for the wizard class, not gonna lie.
Wow, this place is fancy.
Apparently Krieg lives here and has dreadful taste in art. Oh,
this place is fancy. I believe when that was said,
this place...
It is fancy. It has 3 rugs, 2 tables, and a chandelier. 2 chandeliers, a couple of carpets, and a staircase. That's fancy, apparently. It could just be well maintained.
This is fancy.
You know?
Apparently Krieg lives here and has dreadful taste in art.
Oh shit! I bet Vince is here to assassinate his ass.
Is it possible that we can get a contract for Scanlan to be assassinated? Asking for a friend.
Oh, you think? Why don't you 3 head to the 2nd floor? Scanlan and Grog search the attic. Vax and I will start here.
Or maybe we all just go check the cellar.
Why would you want to do that? No, I'm seriously, why would you want to check the cellar? It was completely covered with a rug. We saw the establishing shot. None of the carpets were out of place in the slightest. There is no way Fince could have opened that the way it is hinged and have the rug over it when he got down there. There's no way for that to happen. If this guy is as skilled as the show wants us to believe he is in the context of sneaking around, he should be 100% aware of the fact that you can't put a rug over a trapdoor when you're under it. You can't do that. It's physically not possible. Pulling scrolls down.
We caught you blue-handed, chicken humper! Drop your blade.
What? No, you don't understand. I'm not stealing anything.
Of course you're not. And that sword isn't to murder General Krieg with either, right?
Pike, I think it is.
You must listen to me.
So, Mage Hand, right? Well, the thing is, like, Mage Hand still requires some level of sight. And if he's got Mage Hand, that implies he's a wizard. Which, if he is, why does he need a sword? Most wizards don't carry swords. Now, that's not to say that swords wouldn't be useful. I'm just saying that we don't actually know what he can do. We have to assume that because he doesn't use any spell ever, and he uses a blade, that he's not one. But let me go back a little bit further.
We'll just go check the cellar.
Alright, so this is the establishing shot for the layout of where he is. We can see just barely what I believe to be the handle of his sword here. Yep, there it is. So he does not move from this spot. His back, like this is, back to wherever it is.
Aha! We
turns to the right.
caught you.
Okay. So it doesn't turn about face, but he does turn to the right. Now, going back a little bit once more. There's the door. So where his shadow is coming from, like towards us, that is where Vox Machina are going to appear. That's where they are going to appear. And
Aha! We caught you.
So he doesn't move back either.
You blue-handed, chicken humper. Drop your blade. What?
But now, even though he hasn't moved, he's all of a sudden several feet away from the bookshelf that he only turned 90 degrees from. And we'll find out later that he's also right in front of the door that he was just
don't
next
understand. I'm not stealing anything.
Of course you're not. And that sword isn't to murder General Krieg with either, right?
Pike,
What the fuck is up with Vex's face? She almost looks lazy-eyed in that frame. She... Why is that face funny to me? Why does Vex look like this? What the fuck happened? It's the eyes.
think it is.
You must listen to me. These documents are evidence. General Krieg is planning to...
So he teleported from in front of this bookshelf as he was picking parchment from the bookshelf in an L pattern right in front of that, right beside that one. He teleports right in front of the door. We never see him move. In fact, we see him stand perfectly in place. But he gets stabbed in the back and dies.
What? Krieg! Nice bloody technique. How do you stay so quiet in that armor?
Oh no.
And it is so...
In league with the...
Of course it was me.
It is so powerful, this headache, that she drops her bow. It's that painful. Why would you have that power? Why?
I championed you because you're a bunch of witless oafs who no one gives two shites about. You've been lucky so far, but you have no idea what you have gotten yourself into.
I've got him.
Now, we've also established that those weapons teleport back to him. That's fine. Quantum superpositioning explains this perfectly. Not sure what you are on about. He just both exists and doesn't exist in all of those spots at once. I can't argue with that.
He's gone.
Quite the keen observation, Scanlan.
You know, the more Percy shit-talks Scanlan, the more I actually like him. Which is odd, because I didn't like Percy in the campaign. Like... Why? How does that work? How is it that Scanlan in the campaign I liked relatively, from what I remember. I disliked Percy from the campaign, and the roles are reversed here. How does that happen? How the fuck does that happen? Also, I don't think those are horns. I think those are antlers.
There must be a hidden exit or trap door. Fan out. Look for some kind of fulcrum.
Wait, a fuck room?
I mean, that's what I heard.
A lever, a button. Just stand over there, Grog, and don't touch anything.
Fair enough. Also, real quick, that is a decent joke. That's a decent joke. Like, legitimately. When you have a character that has a larger vocabulary and speaks in a far more, for the sake of this, we'll say noble, as opposed to commoner. When you've got someone in a more noble profession speaking with commoners, he'll use language that the commoners don't. And if something like a fulcrum is spoken, and no one knows what the fuck a fulcrum is, you've got plenty of opportunities for jokes for where people just like, what the fuck? I mean, hell, even the terms for, what the fuck was it? It was, poultry versus chicken, I think it was. I forget exactly what had happened, but essentially where you had the upper class calling the food by the type of meat, whereas the commoners would call the type of meat by the animal that it came from. Although I can't remember what the fuck the terms were. But it's something like that, where you've got that perfect example of how you can have comedy simply through the different types of vocabulary that the characters use. The problem is that the show doesn't actually give us those quiet moments where the characters can just talk and have a natural dialogue about, you know, miscommunication or communication where everyone knows what you're talking about, but essentially there's a language barrier and this funny jokes happen. Mutton versus calling it lamb. I believe so. Yep. Now, this is also a very important scene in the context of establishing magic, which plays into episode 3.
Whoa, you guys, everything in this room is magical. Where do we even start?
Come on. Damn it! Okay, so I was hoping that Vax would turn around, because they've just established that you can have a detect magic spell. I know, very thick. They establish that you can have a detect magic spell, and they establish how you are able to use it. In this case, holding onto your holy symbol. In my case, it's an arrowhead. And then just hold out your hands, your eyes light up, and you can see everything that's magical in a glowing outline. Actually, let's go back a second. I want to see something. Where's his guitar? Scanlan had a guitar when he came in here. Why is it gone? Did I see it?
That's it.
I'm gonna check something. Okay, dagger's out, bow is out. He comes in.
He's gone.
Wait. Why are you not having your guitar? Yeah, he has his guitar out here. Lute. All right, I'll call it a lute. He has his lute there. We don't actually... Yeah, we don't see him until he comes back here. His lute is just gone. His instrument is just gone. Why? The reason why I need to know this, is because detect magic, all of these things that are glowing, they're magic items. I want to know if detect magic lights up when you are holding the weapon as well, if it's on your person. We know that this guy right here has magic daggers. We know that he's got magic daggers, and it cuts away to him. So, hold on. Wait, what? Okay. But the thing is, like, I need to know this. I need to know this because of something that happens in episode 3 that can be easily explained if it does or does not happen that particular way. But they didn't do it.
Oh, beautiful.
This guy really has a thing for dragons.
So that is the symbol for Tiamat.
It's rude to stare. Grog,
Should be
you're being gross. Oh, Keyleth, you found it.
Shouldn't have. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but an illusionary wall, even one that, even if this is purely an illusion, detect magic should be able to see that, right? So if Pike had just turned her head, like literally just 360, like if she turned her body 360 degrees throughout this whole room, she should have seen that.
It's a portal.
Nice work. Brilliant, really.
No, it was nothing.
She threw a book at her head. It was nothing.
My arms! Scanlan, look it! They're in the booty! That is so cool.
Listen, if we're gonna fight Krieg, we have to do this as a team, all right? Organized, as one.
See, an interesting comment, almost like they are attempting to set something up for a payoff within, how many more minutes? 13 minutes? Yeah. Thing is, throughout this entire thing, they've never really shown, and I mean shown, they've said they have problems working together, but they've never actually had a problem acting together. It's almost like they're setting something up for a very cheap payoff later.
Please, we don't do organized.
Yeah.
Look at us. We're Vox Machina. We fuck shit up.
Can we at least try?
Can we at least go already? Lead the way, big man.
Ugh.
You know what, guys? Good luck. I'm just gonna keep a lookout from here.
Use Scanlan as a meat shield. Send him through as a distraction. Let the dragon eat him first. Punt the gnome. Punt the gnome at the dragon.
So cold. What is this place? High in the mountains, I'd say.
That's the only
Wherever
time
we
they will
are.
act cold, by the way.
Far from Iman.
No punting. Let's go.
Goat. Goat.
Seems excessive for a council member.
Seems excessive for anyone.
Magic scrolls, jewels, potions. Is this a troll deck?
Penis jokes. Fantastic.
Think of all the ale I could buy.
Buddy, we could be drunk for weeks.
Days even.
You know what? Uriel can keep his paltry payment. We're rich!
Wait. This gold didn't fall out of the fucking sky.
I'm beginning to agree with you there. Grog jokes are legitimately funny. I would never say that they're laugh out loud funny, mainly because I never laughed out loud. But you know, his delivery is solid. I can't actually fault that. I can't actually fault that. So you know what? I'm cool with that. Grog deliveries are pretty good.
This is a horde! We're in the dragon's lair!
Those are pretty, but also ominous.
Then maybe don't stick your face near it. Just a thought.
I didn't do that. Did I do that? I don't think I did that.
Oh,
I must say,
even then. Like, see what I'm saying about the inconsistencies of Vex's headaches? You know, it's very inconsistent, and that's a bit of a problem.
To tell you the truth, I was certain you would die the moment you met the mighty Brimside. But it seems some vermin are harder to kill than others.
You wanted Uriel to send the entire army out of Amon, so your dragon friend could wipe them out.
The age of man is coming to an end.
So, here's the thing. Now that they've officially stated it, we can finally talk about the dragon's plan. And as far as I can remember, that's it. That's the only bit of dialogue that we get to explain the dragon's plan. Lead the army outside so that the dragon can wipe them out. All of them. So, let's see if he actually adds something to that.
There was a time when dragons ruled all of Tal'Dorei. When we ruled the entire world.
Did he just say we?
Didn't see this one coming, did you, Vex?
It's a pretty quick transformation, wasn't it? A very quick transformation. So, I don't think he actually says anything further on his plans after that. So, let's actually discuss this plan for a moment. He wants to lure the armies away from Amon's walls so that he can wipe them out. Question. Why does he need to do that? He's masquerading as the general of the entire Amon army. Like, the only person that he could be masquerading as higher up on the food chain is the king himself. But there's another problem. He's right next to the fucking king on the council. And so, essentially, my question is this. Why the fuck didn't you just kill the king? Like, legit, if that's what you want, why didn't you kill the king? You had every single opportunity you could to kill him. Hell, you even had a perfect opportunity in episode 1, where the only character that supposedly killed a dragon in the past on the council, Allura, or useless blonde white bitch, she leaves to be a glorified taxi service for Vox Machina. At that point in time, the only person who could have had a history of dealing with dragons and potentially causing a problem to you is gone. You have the ability to request an audience with the king as the general. Do that, kill the king, no one has to even know it's you. Or hell, maybe you want to know that it's you. Become a dragon, kill the king right there, and fly away. We've established that ballistic weapons do not harm you. We have established that at the beginning of episode 2. Ballistic weapons don't hurt this guy. Why doesn't he just kill him? Is it because, one of them might be able to understand how to kill me? Why? Why? Even the guy who owned the book did not know what the two rivers meet meant. Even he didn't know what the fuck it meant, and apparently he's had so much experience with books like that that's just to be expected in all books related to how to kill dragons. There's a fundamental reason why the vizier is in control of the king trope typically has characters that cannot physically stand against the king. Because they know that if they were a physical match for the king, or a physical match for the forces that guard the king, if you want to overthrow him, you just fucking do it. You just fucking do it. But this guy doesn't want to manipulate the king. He wants to kill the king. Because he wants to wipe out the armies so that he can wipe out Tal'Dorei. So he wants to wipe out Amon so the dragons can rule Tal'Dorei and rule the world. That's what he wants. And one of the biggest threats, and I use that loosely, is the king of Amon. Uriel. Fake king. So, there is no reason why this should have happened. He should have just killed the king when he had the chance. Again, he had several. And this is why I mentioned, I think at the beginning of this stream, or if not, like in the last one, this is why it is by accident a good thing that King Uriel, fake king, didn't send the military. Because apparently that's what the dragon wanted. And that's literally the only reason why it was a quote-unquote good idea. He was such an idiot that he did the right thing. Even though literally everything with what they knew should have called for scouts. A deployment of the military in the context of scouts, fucking cavalrymen for fuck's sake. Send them out there and gather intelligence. Easy. But now he has revealed himself proper, and he says that he championed them because no one would care about them. That's not really a reason. That's not really a reason. A better reason would have been, I championed you because it wouldn't have mattered anyway. Anyone they sent would have met the fate, and it was... Or, fuck, if you want to actually have him explain his plan, actually tell the truth. Actually tell the truth. Like, with every mercenary sent, the king was more and more pliable to my plan, to my suggestion of sending out the forces. It was only a matter of time. So, fuck it. The plan doesn't make sense because there are 1,000 other things that he could have done throughout the entire time before and during the events of this episode and episode 1 to make the plan actually fucking work. Wow, they're able to jump around pretty fucking far.
Are you all right?
Fair enough. Now, Grog should be dead because he was blasted by a dragon's lightning breath, but it's okay because he was on gold. It wasn't the direct blast. Also, he's suddenly missing a lot, and something that I need to point out here. This smoke This smoke never occurred during any of the previous instances where the dragon's lightning breath struck the ground. This is only happening now. In this one fight at the end of the episode. I wonder if I'm highlighting something.
A tickle. Let me return the favor.
Shit.
Yeah, she should be dead. She should absolutely be fucking dead. Absolutely be dead. You know what? You know what? We are at 1818. Let's go all the way back here. Let's go all the way back here. Gets one shot by the lightning. One shot. One shot. In episode 1, we established that this guy can one-shot you. In episode fucking 1, we can one-shot you. And even here, they are wearing armor. They are wearing armor. As this guy, boom. Through the armor. Through the armor, this tail is able to just tear it asunder. Perfect frame pause, actually. And then even with this guy, he gets struck and gets thrown so fucking far that that's what happens. Again, a piece of metal like this, this tree would not be able to pierce through that armor. It would not be able to do that. So it is this dragon's tail so strong. Pike should be dead.
A tickle. Let me return the favor.
Fucking hell. The strangest thing is, I was almost willing to give them the benefit of the doubt if Grog was the only one that ever got struck. If Grog was the only person to ever get struck by this dragon, you have the hope, the slightest hope, of trying to convince me that that is a subtle way for the show to indicate that a barbarian can get hit far more than anyone else. That there's actually a benefit to being a barbarian over a wizard, a warlock, or a cleric. But Pike, a creature that is barely taller than this thing's fucking toenail. She's barely taller than this thing's toenail. She gets smacked by the tail, flung that fucking far into a stone wall. She is dead. She is dead. She should be fucking dead. Not because I wish death upon her character, although she did kill a kid, by virtue of not picking the one fucking spell that you can use at any fucking time as long as you're conscious, and it will save a fucking dying child. No. She should be dead because she was hit by the exact same thing that decimated an army, and she got flung 50 fucking feet into a solid stone wall to the point where it cracks. She should be fucking dead.
I'll devour you all.
But she's totally fine. She's totally fine 10 seconds later. What the fuck is this?
Pike.
I'd also like to point out... Oh, but she's perfectly fine on that one, too. Her magic is strong enough to repel a breath of lightning from an adult blue dragon. Also, the dragon has really let himself go in the context of his accuracy. This motherfucker was quick as a fucking hummingbird back when he was killing faceless goons. But against the mighty Vox Machina, well, he just fucking sucks. Really let his aim slip. There she is. There she is. You know, there, you can stay focused now because Keyleth is on screen. I was actually thinking there's been a lot of lack of Keyleth lately. Anyway, this action scene is really fucking stupid. For a multitude of reasons, not the least of which being that the dragon is conveniently missing every fucking shot. And when he does hit them, they don't die. They're barely even winded when he hits them. Once again, we're talking about a character that's barely bigger than his fucking toenail, gets flicked into a fucking stone wall, flung 50 feet, she survives. No, that's fucking stupid. It's so fucking dumb.
Vax, did Gilmore give you any insight on how to kill this thing? Or
That was a very fast flight. And I'd like to point out that this dragon has gotten close to the ground on numerous occasions. It gets really close to the ground and eats people. Why is it not doing that here? Now, granted, I am an advocate for dragons never touch the fucking ground. They never touch the fucking ground. They can fly. So they're going to keep flying. His gun does not hurt the dragon. Their melee weapons don't hurt the dragon. A fucking ballistic did not hurt this dragon. Why doesn't he just get down there and eat him? He's fast enough to cover the entire fucking ceiling in like a second. They're not going to be able to react to that.
did you two flirt the whole time?
Shit, right. Dragons are vain, arrogant, egotistical.
I know that already. I studied them, remember?
Yeah, you studied them. Yet you are unaware of the very thing that Vax learns from Gilmore. See, that's again a reference to the fact that the characters are very inconsistent in who knows what is common knowledge, who knows anything in this show. Like, Gilmore gives him a fucking book that basically says, oh, it's poetic drivel. They don't actually tell you how to kill dragons. Like, what part of studying did fucking Vex do that never indicated that there are special ways to kill dragons? What the fuck? But no, it's really fucking silly and kind of dumb, all things considered.
Doesn't matter. Can't do shit if it's in the air.
Where the Twin Rivers meet. The neck! You see that? We have to get it on the ground. Vax, do you hear me?
Yes! This way! I've got a plan! Oh.
Another one?
Shut up!
So, like, that's basically it. That's basically it. Where the two rivers meet is in reference to the fact that a blue dragon, when it's about to fire its lightning breath, there's a V right on its neck, and that's where it splits off and it goes up to the mouth. And here's the thing. If it's that fucking simple, the book would just say, I struck it in the neck. I struck the dragon in the neck and it died. But that's not what the show tells us. The show tells us that anyone who was able to kill a dragon was apparently so much of an asshole that and it's Critical Role, so you know it's gonna. Well, no. An asshole would be a he because it's Critical Role, but it was a dragon slayer, so it's going to be a she. It's a they them. It identified as a she when it killed the dragon, but identified as a he when it wrote down the book. The fucker that killed the dragon was so much of an asshole that instead of simply saying a blue dragon has a weakness in the neck, it is emphasized when it's about to shoot lightning that You aim for the spot where it looks like two rivers meeting. You aim for that, it's the weakest part in the dragon, cut that thing open, it's dead. Interestingly enough, that's technically not even how they kill the fucking dragon. We'll get to that.
Okay, for once you were right.
Where the fuck is he aiming? Where the fuck is he aiming? It's way the fuck over there. They're running in a straight line. They're running in a straight fucking line. And, like, he's able to keep up with them. He's able to keep up with them right fucking there.
Don't fight us once.
He's overtaking them.
We do what we do best.
He's overtaking them. They're running in a straight line, and he can't fucking hit them. What the fuck? It's so dumb. What the hell? Ugh.
What? We have no best.
That's not true. You have a best. You know, I think Percy's the best so far, because he lays the smackdown on the rest of you psychopaths. He's the only one who waited until he was attacked before pulling out his weapon in a bar fight. Grog has some good one-liners, so technically he's the best at that. Scanlan is the best at being annoying. Vex is the best cunt. She doesn't have the best cunt. She is the best cunt. Vax. Actually, I think Vax is kind of a nothing character right now. I think he's kind of a nothing... I don't actually... You know? Yeah, he's kind of a nothing character. Huh. Same with Keyleth. The both of them are kind of nothing characters. They don't really have anything going for them right now. They're not so annoying that I want death upon them. And they're not good enough to make me say, yeah, they're good. Or at the very least, decent. Huh. Didn't think I'd realize that.
So what do you want us to do? Run out and yell, "Hey, Dragon Man, we don't know what the fuck we're doing."
That's not a plan. That is not a plan. That is, in fact, the opposite of a plan. That is the least plan-like plan I have ever heard. And I've seen Supergirl.
You think you can hide in my lair?
Well, they can, because all of this cloud and smoke that never fucking occurred any other time you use your lightning breath, yeah. And I mean it, like, never. This never happened any of the other times he's used his lightning breath, but because he's using his lightning breath against the heroes here and now, it's all over the place. Of course they're going to be able to hide from you in your lair. Fucking hell.
Hey, taint smear!
You're in my way again, you ape!
What you call me? Maybe I'll squash you too.
Oh, as if either of you could kill anything. A preening, pea-coated peacock and a witless goon.
You watch yourself, peasant!
If the three of you will shut up already and let me kill this inflated windbag.
Tell me. I am the Iron Storm. You are nothing but insect!
And that's how it's happened.
Pathetic.
With no effort, literally no effort whatsoever, they get him on the ground. With no effort whatsoever, because they don't have the time. They never gave themselves the time. With no effort whatsoever, it drops to the ground. He drops to the fucking ground. Exactly where they want him. And this is how they kill him. But here's the thing. They're playing triumphant music.
Impossible.
They're playing triumphant music to mask the fact that it's a really fucking stupid moment.
Gotcha.
No!
2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We've seen how fast this fucking thing can move. We've seen how fast it can move. And it took all of that time for him to just fucking move. We've also apparently decided that plants are strong enough to take a dragon's wing and prevent it from flying. Also, something from the fucking roof falling on his wing is apparently enough to get him to stop flying too. Spontaneous, I don't know, ejaculation, fuck it. And we know this is in real time. We know it's in real time because of this. We know it is in real time. Those 13 seconds I counted out, those were in real time because what he did, shot the ceiling, rocks came falling down, there was enough time for it to fall down for this to happen. So he is deliberately choosing not to shoot them with lightning. He is deliberately choosing not to shoot them with lightning right now, even though they are wide open. They're wide the fuck open. Now, remember, ballistic weapons that can take down castle walls didn't have an effect on this thing. A knife can cut through a fully grown blue dragon's hide in the non-weak spot area. He is literally cutting through. Blood is spilling out of the wounds. Once again, let's just emphasize this one more time. A dagger. A dagger. What? Okay, I'm okay. Yeah. Wait. Oh, shit! No, this is terrible! No, this is terrible! Fuck! The animation is terrible! Okay! Okay! I knew something looked wrong, but it was going so fast that I didn't catch it. So, okay. Okay. I'm just gonna say it like this. His legs are behind him. Obviously. His hand is in front of him. This is a dagger. This is a dagger. No more than 8 inches long, ladies. The animation is so fucking bad. They don't understand depth. Or spatial awareness. That's the neck that this dagger is supposedly cutting into, but these are the protrusions on his body that are going even further outward. From where this dagger is cutting into him, he should be hitting his dick. He should be hitting his fucking crotch with where these protrusions are coming out from. He should not be able to do that. Okay, here is relatively fine, but it almost looks like there's a fucking frame difference. Yep. So once again, this is like directly behind. Yeah. They don't actually know what the fuck they're doing. Also, yep. They're not actually making a trail of blood as it's cutting open. They just want us to conveniently not pay attention to the fact that the dagger's cutting into this thing with enough force to draw blood, while simultaneously not leaving a blood trail. And then cuts right open. That was really bad. But it's not over yet. It's not over. because we have dramatic poses, music, as it follows this magic fucking arrow. He, despite being struck in the neck, which shouldn't have fucking worked anyway, but he struck in the neck, he's able to now completely remove his bonds on his wings. The entire time, he was just too damn strong to remove his wings from this, but now that he's been mortally fucking shot, he suddenly has enough... He's finally weakened enough to destroy the bonds that bound him.
Sunder your bonds.
Look who's nice and low.
And now we have the meme. There we go. And here we are with the rage mechanic visualized, with veins being emphasized and protruding, his eyes going white and very, very narrow. And apparently it is so powerful that now he can split a dragon's skull in two.
Is he dead?
That is perhaps one of the most damning moments of the show. Not only because it's very, very stupid how they're able to defeat the dragon, but they've just killed a dragon. The stakes of the show are officially dead. Nothing that they face from here on out should ever, at any fucking point, be a problem for them. They should never be scared of it. They should never have issues with it. Because they just killed a fuck-off dragon. The namesake of the fucking game. You need to understand that dragons should never be the first thing you kill. They should never be the first thing you kill. Dragons are game changers. A good DM, a good storyteller, will have dragons be one of the toughest things even for the most seasoned of adventurers. They fly, they have scales, thick hide, they can breathe fire, or in this case, lightning. They can exhale literal death. And that's not even mentioning the fact that they've got razor fucking sharp claws that are about half as long as the average man is tall. So, the fact that these guys were able to beat one within the first 2 fucking episodes, number one, is an insult to dragons, first off. 2, completely sunders any potential threat that they could face that isn't directly personal. And even directly personal, if it's a physical encounter, guess what? They killed a dragon! Literally, they should have no fucking problem with anything going forward. The stakes are ruined. But even ignoring that, how they kill the dragon is really fucking stupid. And honestly, it's difficult for me to even suggest what they could have fucking done to actually defeat it in a believable way. Because this wasn't believable at all. And quite honestly, I'm convinced that if this did happen in the campaign proper, I am willing to bet that the game-changing character that helped them kill the dragon in the first place was Tiberius Stormwind. I am convinced that Tiberius Stormwind was the game-changing character that helped them kill the dragon in the first place. Because he was the wizard, he was a dragonborn, and Draconia, that's where it was from, Draconia. And he was the smartest man in the party. With the exception of maybe Percy, he had the highest intelligence. Because he literally had to. I am willing to bet that it was because of something that Tiberius thought of that they outsmarted the dragon. I'm willing to bet. Because if they actually went toe-to-toe with an adult blue dragon and fucking won, at the level they were at before the campaign started, bullshit. I call every single bullshit imaginable. Never happened. Either that or Matthew Mercer really sucked as a DM back then. Because a dragon is not something that a party can just casually kill. Especially at the level they were at before campaign 1 even started. Impossible. But even if that isn't the case, even if I'm wrong there, this is just it. It's over. They've killed a dragon. Now, at the end of campaign 1, there are 5 more dragons that show up, and that's a bit of a problem. Was it 5 or was it 4? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 4. I think it's 4 dragons show up at the end of this season. So if it's 4 dragons, yeah, that's something you should be concerned about. But these guys? No. 1 dragon? Nope. Anything other than a fucking dragon coupled with another dragon? No. Because I hate to break this to you, a vampire is not stronger than a dragon. A vampire and his necromancer, not stronger than a dragon. They're not. Anyone who says differently clearly hasn't been paying attention to what dragons can fucking do. And that's not even taking into account the fact that it's the thickest fucking plot armor I have ever seen in a TV show like this. Pike gets just slammed with the dragon's tail that massacred people in thicker armor than hers, that were stronger than her, one-shots them. Tears through the armor they're wearing. She's totally fucking fine. Bullshit. I call bullshit.
We did that! We did that, right?
It seems being a bunch of assholes has its merits.
No! It doesn't, but... You didn't need to say anything, Percy. You were doing so well when... You were doing so well by not saying anything fucking retarded, but there you go.
Souvenir?
Proof we killed the scaly turd.
I'm convinced that was a Tiberius line. I'm convinced Tiberius was the one who said that originally. And because every single character needs to have a turn to say something, that's how they decide who gets to speak, it was Grog's turn to do something, and he just so happened to be closest to the dragon. I'm convinced.
Huh. You know, you're a lot smarter than we give you credit for, Grog.
Yep, I'm a genius.
Oh, fuck this day.
Exit strategy? Run!
And so they're just running. Because the cave is suddenly collapsing. Why? Don't know. He blasted a hole in the ceiling. But, well... That's not how support works. That's not how support works, especially when it comes to stone caverns like this. But we're not done yet. No, no, no.
Wait! The loot!
And penis joke!
Damn it!
Now what is about to happen right here, I found not insulting. Insulting's too personal of a word. Wrong. It felt wrong. Let's watch it.
We got him, kid.
That moment felt incredibly wrong to me. Let me explain why. The coin that he just flicked into the lair of the dragon was the coin that he gave to the kid back in the shale steps. And the kid died, clutching onto that coin. It feels so wrong because he just gave the coin that the king died clutching. He just tossed it. Number one, tossing it alone is insult enough. It's wrong enough, not insult. If it's going to be given up for any reason, give it back to the boy. Wherever the bodies were buried, wherever those bodies were buried, put it there. If you actually want to give the coin away, you don't want to keep the silver piece as a memorabilia of the kid, put it there. Give it to the kid's grave. I mean, let's hope that they fucking buried them or did something with the bodies, because otherwise they're just rotting in the fucking shale steps with the fucking seagulls to eat them. But why the fuck did you think it was a poignant moment to just casually flick the coin into the lair of the dragon that killed you? The dragon that killed the child, that's where you decide to put the coin that you gave to him, that is still covered in his blood. The coin is still covered with the blood of that boy, and you just throw it into the fucking lair. That is fucked up. That is so... That would be as if a serial killer was finally stopped and you put the necklace of the last the last girl that the serial killer raped and murdered. You put her necklace on his gravestone. No, that is so fucked up. That is wrong. Why did you think that was a good moment? Just because you put music in the background that's all like, ah. No, fuck you. That is wrong. That is gross. That is so fucking bad. Why you chose to do that, I have no idea. And I'm not sure I want to know, personally. Because that's just so... It's irritating to say the fucking least. But let's finish this off, because there's only like 2 more scenes left. One of them is really fucking stupid. The other one is an indicator of something just fucked up with the writers.
Vox Machina, for your selfless heroism,
And they didn't even clean up. They didn't even get cleaned up. They had to set this up, and they're just still covered in blood and dirt and grime.
proclaim you all protectors of the realm, and honorary members of the Council of Taldori. I know. I can hardly believe it myself.
That's stupid. That is almost as stupid as the Black Panther movie where they decide the king of Wakanda based on a trial by combat. Essentially what they have just done is they have elected a city mayor based on the biggest bull that he can punch. When you put someone onto a council, you do it based on, intellect. You do it based on intellect and personality. These psychopaths are psychopaths. Yes, they killed a dragon, but would you give the seat to someone who murders people? No? Well, I have got news for you. Vox Machina has murdered people. In episode 1, they casually mention that Grog decapitated one of their previous employers. They never mention that the employer was even sleazy. They never mention that. For all we know, he was a perfectly noble guy who was like, yeah, I just need some help bodyguarding my caravan as I'm moving recently freed slaves to their home. They should not be given honorary seats on the council because of something like this. And this goes back to what I suggested in the first the first stream. Maybe not the first stream, I forget because I've repeated it a couple times. The first season should not have been the fucking Whitestone arc. The first season should have been the rescuing of this fucker in the background here. Because for those of you who don't know, Campaign 1 starts out midway through them going through a mind flare infested dungeon going to rescue Kima because she went down there and got herself turned to fucking stone. Have them do something like that. Label them Protectors of the Realm because they killed a dragon. Fine. The rest of the season should be about them exploring Amon and their newfound fame to the point where they are expected to go and save Kima, a woman that they barely know. A woman they barely know. They go down there, they fight the mind flayers, they do all that, and they use their brain because you need intellect to fight a mind flayer. Which is ironically the very thing that the Mind Flayers want also, so there's another enemy that could have been used after a dragon. But no, that's not what you're doing. You're jumping ahead to the point where they're honorary members of the council, which could have been done after the fucking Mind Flayer arc, where they go down there, they use their intellect. Kima herself is personally there to attest to the intellect that they have, and after she is rescued, the second reward is you are now honorary members of the council. Like, honorary? We just saved Lady Kima's life. Why can't we be full members of the council? Well, it's really quite simple, really. The council's already full. Too many council members can lead to too much discourse. Too many arguments could happen, too many problems can occur. Or hell, even something as simple as we cannot have Protectors of the Realm also be council members. We cannot risk it. Something as silly as that would be acceptable. But no, we have to skip all of it. And if this is actually how it happened in the campaign before it went live, this is really fucking stupid. It was really stupid even back then. Not happening.
Oh, how I've missed respectability.
Yes, that's all fine and good, but where is the... Ah, there we are.
Payday! Keys? Parchment? Where's our reward?
You're holding it. The deed to your new keep here in Imar. We need our protectors close at hand to, protect.
Okay, so this line of dialogue is suggesting that they knew whatever they defeated, they would be labeled Protectors of Amon. Why? How? And if it, again... Oh, shit! I didn't actually realize this my first 2 viewings of it. Fuck! Wow, they are stupid. Okay. That line is suggesting that they always planned on the reward being the keep that these psychopaths get. And the line also suggests that they would be labeled Protectors of the Realm for doing this deed. If this was so fucking important that you would be labeled Protectors of the Realm by accomplishing it, that's even more reason to get the military involved. That is even more reason to get the military involved because the military is specifically designed to deal with something like this. It didn't need to be a fucking dragon, but if the reward if the reward is being labeled Protectors of the Realm and being given a fucking keep, and it was there from the fucking beginning, get the military involved. I guarantee you one military squadron will be able to accomplish what these assholes did. Fucking hell. But the thing is, had it just been, your reward is the keep. Your reward is the keep, and you are being granted the title of Protectors of the Realm. I can see that. At a stretch. Assuming that Protectors of the Realm actually carry something more than just reputation. If it's just reputation, give them the keep, give them the title, good, you're fine. Honorary members of the council, fuck off. No, that is a horrible way to run a government.
Uh-huh. Hypothetically, if we sold it, how much do you think that... Okay.
Sister, we have a home.
What a very touching scene. You know, these two lost their mother at a young age. And it kind of just... It kind of defined their lives. You know, losing a mother like that at such a young age and living on your own for as long as they did. Having some brief solace from... Not even solace, just relief from having the 5 other companions to take your mind off of things can only patch the wound so much. Now they've got a home. They can actually relax, like truly relax, and just have a place to call their own. Maybe they can finally stop relying on solely each other. You know, with this newfound keep, this newfound home, that comes stability. And with stability, you can start to think about the future, you know. You can still try to find the dragon who killed your mother, but it can be from your own home, and even if that's not the case, you can have a life. Maybe find the one for you and have kids. It's one step closer to being complete.
Wait till I tell my father. Oh, the Ashari will never believe this. I bet I'm ruining a moment right now. Aren't I? Yep, I'm just gonna go over here now.
If my blank expression into the camera isn't an indication, and if the over-dramatized recounting of events wasn't an indication, the writers of Vox Machina have no fucking idea how to capitalize on something that they've established very early on in their own story. And no, they don't ever truly get back to that in the entire season. These two had a moment where they could unironically, they could truly just bask in the moment of, we have a fucking home now. And rather than trusting the audience to actually be able to understand the sincerity and the weight of that change, they just throw keys in your face, jingle jangle them at the vain hope that you will just laugh at, oh ho ho, that's Keyleth. Even though she would have had to have gone out of her fucking way to do that. So yeah, Vax is officially the only character in this show that's kind of like just a just kind of a non-character, really. Technically, that makes him the best. Yeah, he's the best at something. He's technically the best character because I don't recall him actually... No, he did say, "You dumb brave asshole," to Grog when he went up and fought a dragon. So he was just kind of wrong. Half wrong. Wait, no. He did instigate the chopping off of man's hands. No, Percy. Percy's the only fucking one. He's got like a couple of cringe lines. That's fucking it. I almost gave Vax the benefit of the doubt, but no. Keyleth's just been brought down. The only one is like Grog and Percy. No, Grog literally chopped off man. Yeah, it's only fucking Percy. It is only Percy, which is fucking weird.
Protectors, you must understand that the threat is far from over. We suspect Krieg may have been part of a larger plot. As such, I have arranged an important banquet to discuss the security of our realm.
We never actually find out why they suspect that Krieg was with a larger plot. We never actually learn about that. And we never learn about... Wait. Yeah, no. We never learn why, and we never learn how. Why do you suspect that, and how did you come to suspect that? How did that happen exactly? Because as far as we know, he was working alone. If it was part of the document that Fince had before he was killed, well, at that point you wouldn't suspect, you just know. If it was in the documents that Fince had when he was being killed, and we know that they weren't taken with Krieg, so they were still fucking there with the corpse, you wouldn't suspect, you would know. You would know that he was part of a larger plot because it's in the documents. So, again, how, why? If you do suspect, you should be doing more than just this, and how could you not how could you not know that it was a larger plot if the papers that lead you to suggest that it's a larger plot literally say so? But we don't know. Because they're skipping over a ton of things. They're skipping over a bunch of shit to get to just jump over to Whitestone, as opposed to having things develop more naturally.
It'll be quite delightful, really. We have a wonderful cook.
We trust you will all attend. In fact, several dignitaries should be on their way as we speak.
So, the king's an idiot. Fake king. Because that's not what the king's supposed to look like. It should be quite lovely. We have a wonderful cook. Like, dude... These guys do not know how royalty speak. They fucking don't. They made him a fucking idiot. From what I remember, he wasn't exactly the best character in the show. But at the same time, I don't ever recall him being an idiot in the campaign. Why'd they do that? Why'd they do this? Who knows? But we are back once again to the ending scene of episode 2, which we covered in the first live stream I did earlier this week. So let's give it a rundown real quick, and I will prepare something. Click. There we go. I'll prepare something real quick. There we go. I prepared this. Come on. It has been prepared. So, this scene right here is the introduction to the season villains. These are the villains that the characters that we have just witnessed kill a fucking dragon are going to have to deal with. Now, I want you to try to remember how the protagonists of this show were introduced. And pay attention to how these guys are introduced.
Lady Briarwood, there's something blocking the road.
Can you go around it, Desmond?
Allow me, my love.
Oh yes, and for the sake of this, do not at all pay attention to the music. Don't pay attention to the music, okay?
Well, ain't this a lucky night? Looks like royalty to me. What do you say, gang?
Oh, he's a fancy one. We want everything you and the missus got, unless you want to be gutted like a fish.
What are you, deaf or something? Empty your pockets!
The fuck?
I hope it wasn't too much trouble, Silas.
Delilah, my dear, it was nothing.
That is their introduction. Remember, the introduction to the protagonists are them getting pissed off because someone challenged their lying boast. They were boasting and they were lying about their importance. A guy calls them out on it. They get pissed off, so they chop his hand off. Now, admittedly, I am simplifying it a little bit. But that's essentially what happened, because we learn he wasn't lying. We learn he was not lying. And by extension, we know that their boasts were lies. Harmless lies? Maybe. But we also know that they were kicked out of every single tavern. We know that they stole. We know that they did property damage. We know that they assaulted people. These guys, the villains of this arc, they are introduced as being, hey, you just threatened to gut my wife. I'm going to kill you. Because I have reason to believe you would try. Just because they put villainous, ominous music in here does not make what his actions ultimately are wrong. His actions were completely justified because it was his wife's life. His wife's life was threatened. Now, a dragon can be killed by 7 assholes and a fucking axe. That's it. His wife is 100% mortal. Now, despite the fact that it's very inconsistent in the sense of, like, what can and cannot be killed in one strike, I take stories as what they show us. So I have no reason to believe that if they did that, if they did get a lucky swing on his wife, that she wouldn't die. I have no reason to believe she wouldn't die if they got a lucky swing on her with those weapons. Because she's human. Because she's 100% mortal. A regular blade 100% would be able to kill her, gut her like a fish. So when someone threatens your wife like that, with weapons that you know they intend to use, I'm sorry, you have every right and are justified in killing them before they kill you or your loved ones. This show wants to manipulate you into thinking that what they did was completely villainous, and dark and disgusting. They have the opportunity to actually do something that makes them truly villainous, but they fucked up because they don't actually know what makes something messed up in the first place. As far as they're concerned, if you are an asshole to our main characters, you deserve everything that comes to you. But if you happen to be the villain, and we put violin music in the background, the audience will instantly know that they're the bad guys, and everything that they do is completely wrong. It's completely villainous because we put the villainous music in the background. It is manipulation of the viewers at its finest, because they know musical scores and what you focus on, in this case blood, is very effective at making people believe what they are seeing is one way as opposed to what it actually fucking is. And of course you have the final image of their carriage over here approaching Amon as the sun sets. Executive producers Sam Riegel, Travis Willingham, and Chris Pronoski. Executive producer Brandon Auman. Executive producer... There's a lot of them. It's a lot of executive producers. So basically every single person who stars in the Critical Role campaign are executive producers for this show. Written by Brandon Auman. Brandon, I'm really glad I don't share your name, because you put a stain on this name. You put a stain on the name of Brandon. Why? This is a supervising director, Sung Jin An. Som Ting Wong with this, I feel. For legal purposes, that was a joke. Directed by Alicia Chan. Producer, Tony Salama. Co-producers, Jennifer Muro and Eugene Sun. Art director, Arthur Loftus. I mean, could you have made a couple of panels that weren't static? Perhaps? I mean, I know you're the art director and not the actual animation director, but, you know, maybe have some backgrounds that aren't completely static images. You know, things that move. Editor Todd... there was actually an editor for this. Todd Relay. Really, Relay? You know what? Mocking people's names is that is acceptable. That's acceptable. You can mock mine. Like, don't do things that you're not willing to have done to you. That's golden rule. Music by Neil Aker, or Ekri. Music. I never actually talked about the music all that much, because honestly, I don't really notice it these days. I do know that the music is catchy on moments, and I'm not going to say that it isn't. I feel like the music is fine, it's serviceable. I don't think there's anything that really jumps out at me as anything overly good or overly bad. I think... Does it count? Does it count the opening theme? If the opening theme is basically a remake of the Critical Role theme song that they made for the campaign, does it count? Like, if so, then that. Because despite my best efforts, it's legitimately still a catchy song, and it's, you know, I think it's well put together. Casting director, Sam Riegel. Voice director, Mary Elizabeth McGlynn. And casting associate, Jennifer Abraham. I'm willing to bet that there should be an asterisk next to that casting director label. Because if what I have been told is true, then Matthew Mercer should have been the voice of Gilmore. because apparently he really wanted to be the voice of Gilmore, and if Sam Riegel was the director for casting, I'm fairly certain he would have allowed him to do it. I'm willing to think that there were mandates that needed to be filled. Main cast, we can just look at that one. Matthew Mercer, Silas, Merchant, Palace Garden, Trinket. Alright. Lady Kima Avord. Felicia Day is Captain Bandit 2. Of course it's Felicia Day. Fucking hell. Tony Gilmore. So, I have no idea how to pronounce that first name. Is it Sunil? 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 I'm going to call him Sunil. Sunil Malhotra. Malhotra. Gilmore. See, Sunil did a decent job. Wait. Malhotra, that's right. Malhotra. IMDb. Let's look him up. Come on, Internet. Show me... Okay. Yep. It appears they selected the voice actor for Gilmore because of what he looks like. Because there are certain images that make him look a lot paler, and then there are other images that make him look more Egyptian. Like this one, his skin's darker. And this one's it's darker than pale. This one's pale as fuck. Huh. Interesting. Anyway. Casting, it's voice acting. Voice acting is fine, all things considered. They were given shitty things to work with, but it is what it is. Storyboard artists. Storyboard revisionists. There's a lot of them. Animatic editor. Doug Vito. Yeah, can we get a veto on you? Unless there's another animation guy that I should be aware of. Maybe we can veto that one. There was very little creative with this one. Chief Creative Officer. Background layout. Can you get some backgrounds that move? Lead character design. Character designs were fine. Character designs. Background paint. Again, if we can get backgrounds that move occasionally, that'd be nice. Assistant character designs. Again, character designs were fine. Prop and FX design. Something that I did notice but didn't feel the need to comment on was Vax's belt. Now, if it's the same belt that gets used in the next episode, I could see it looking like a snake when it's in belt form. And you know what? If that's the same belt, it's a subtle detail that I like. So, props to you. Color designs, modeling and rigging and surfacing. I mean, as far as color design is concerned, not gonna lie, I didn't really notice that too much, which I guess is better than nothing. And I don't actually mean that in a dismissive term. I should have used a different phrase. I didn't notice anything abhorrently bad But this is largely story and like events, not necessarily color. I mean, I guess a couple of the designs, like color and shading, kind of looked flat to me, but maybe that's what you were going for. I don't know if that's actually a color design thing, but modeling and rigging. Aside from the handful of moments where, you know, I'm going to stab the ground from this position right here because my feet are totally touching the dragon's neck and I'm stabbing the dragon's neck. Animation services by Production Rev. Production Rev, animation, have backgrounds that fucking move. Supervising director, animation directors. Oh, here we go. Animation directors, move your fucking backgrounds. Please. Layout assistant. I'm going to hope that layout direction includes the people that focus on the continuity of the scenes. Because of all the times characters just jump from place to place, like 6 feet apart when they don't move, or worse, they're sitting down. Or a wagon that is filled with kegs of wine, wine, just filled with alcohol, suddenly goes from down there, up a set of steps, to an elevated plateau. What the fuck? Production managers, final checkers. Y'all were asleep that day. Y'all were asleep, the fucking thing. In between animation. Okay. Background paint. Have some backgrounds that move, please. Assistant editor. What were they assisting with? Coffee. Track reading by Slightly Off Track. Props to the name. I would totally have made that name. Sound editor. It's fine. Sound effects. Fine. Additional music. Music was fine for the most part. Manipulative as fuck, but ultimately fine. IT director, all this stuff. This is, you know, I don't actually... Oh, crowdfunding. That is important. Hold on. Crowdfunding associate producers. Oh. I don't actually know what this officially means. Crowdfunding associate producers? I'm not sure what this means, actually. Someone explain to me what this means. I don't actually get that. Does this mean that these guys had a hand in managing the crowdfunding, you know, like as a resource? Does it mean that they were, like... No, it says producers. What the fuck does that... Does that mean that there were things in the crowdfunding that was like stretch goals and they were in charge of producing that within the story? Executive producers.
Chirp.
Is there a next on? No. So yeah, that was The Legend of Vox Machina, Episode 2. And it is quite a piece of work. It is quite a piece of work. It is very, very bad. Honestly, it is very, very bad. It is very poorly made. Very poorly written, I should say. Made, you know, with the exception of the things that I noticed specifically about, like the very static backgrounds, the inconsistencies when it comes to characters' positions and what they're holding and all that stuff. Like, it is really bad. It is really bad. And the thing is, they could have actually had something good. They really could have. But the problem is they don't actually know what they're doing. And I mean that in the sense of they don't know how to formulate an actual plot. They don't know how to do it. Or maybe they know that people will buy into it regardless of what they put in there. That is also possible. Recently, I watched a video where a guy unironically compared the first season of this show to Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Dragon Prince, and Castlevania. Now, I've never seen The Dragon Prince. I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's bad. People I know who have watched it say it's really good. But I have watched Avatar: The Last Airbender. And I have watched Castlevania. Castlevania is far better than this shit. Castlevania is leagues above this trite that is The Legend of Vox Machina. It is so much better. Even Season 4 of Castlevania, which I hold as the weakest of the Castlevania franchise as it stands, Season 4 of Castlevania, weakest. It's still leagues above The Legend of Vox Machina. Because at the end of the day, the problems that stem from Season 4 of Castlevania more or less stem from the fact that everything that makes it bad starts happening near the end of the actual season. All of which could have been very easily fixed by having things being laid out in Season 3 or simply earlier in Season 4 proper. Like, small tweaks could have been used to make it so much better in Season 4 for Castlevania. It would require an entire rewrite of The Legend of Vox Machina to make this good. And I've only just begun. Episodes 1 and 2, very, very bad. Some people like to say that it's the weakest of the season. Here's the thing. We'll find out. Because there's a lot of really stupid stuff that happens after this. And I mean a lot. From characters suddenly being competent when they honestly shouldn't be. Characters suspecting things are wrong when they really shouldn't be. Characters doing bad things, never getting punished for it. Complete rewrites of characters' motivations for being in certain locations. And so much more. So much more. Including necrophilic bestiality. Yes, I said that. Because that happens in this show. Necrophilic bestiality happens in this show. Fucking hell. The Legend of Vox Machina Episode 2. Very bad. It is a very bad episode. Episode 1 was very bad. The entire season is very bad, and I will be covering it all. As to how long it'll take for me to do all that, well, apparently 2.5 hours an episode, just to break it the fuck down. In a live format. If I were doing this recorded, who knows? Maybe I'd be able to skim it all the way down to 40 minutes to an hour each episode to break down why everything is wrong. Being precise and on point with my critiques. Explaining why things don't work. But it is what it is. Now, this is going to be, officially, how I end the the streams themselves. People have asked me, including Blue Ox, rightfully so, why do I talk about this show? And why am I passionate about how bad it ultimately is? Because honestly, it's a fair point. It's been out for almost a year, and I've had plenty of opportunities to do something similar to this for a very long time. It's not like I didn't have something like this to set up and just start streaming it or recording it or something like that. It's not like I didn't have the ability to do this. So why now? And why am I still talking about it? Well, the first reason is because it was greenlit for a second season, and it is currently, I believe it's on its way out. It's coming out relatively soon. I haven't actually watched the trailer for it, so I don't know when the official release date for it is. But several trailers for Season 2 have dropped, so it's coming out. Which, because of all of the blind praise that I have seen from people who watched it, I doubt they're going to be changing much of anything. They might have a larger budget for better animation, maybe. But they're not going to hear anything that they need to hear to improve. And that's the thing. If they made a good show out of this, that'd be fine. That would be totally fine. I don't care that I completely disagree with virtually everything. I can't say virtually everything. Even though I disagree with a lot of stuff that they've done, either in campaigns or on a political level, don't go to their Twitter. Fucking ever. It is a cesspool. It is a horrible cesspool. If you make something of quality, I'm going to like it, and I'm going to call it out as being good content. But the problem is, it's not. It's not good content. They don't make that in this show. So, but the other reason is far more troublesome. And that is the fact that the people who make this show have a direct line to the people who make Dungeons and Dragons. The game that I play every Wednesday, the game that I have been able to stretch my creativity with. I have made characters that I did not expect to because of this game. And because they have a direct line with Wizards of the Coast, the people who they didn't make the game, they bought the game. The people who are writing the game now. Every single thing that is seen as successful, not necessarily good, just successful, has a potential of being put into the game. We know this because they added fucking combat wheelchairs. So, every single thing that is just successful and is bad, they can add it into the game. And a game that's pretty much already on the decline because of the decisions Wizards of the Coast are repeatedly making, it's going to crash and burn even faster. Now, if there's an alternative to D&D, let them burn. Let them burn and let them learn. But aside from going back to previous editions or finding other games that really aren't D&D, I'd prefer it if they just didn't burn. I'd prefer it if they just learned that it's not a good thing and that they just stepped away from that. If they just stepped away from that and actually made a good content for Dungeons and Dragons, for D&D. Dungeons and Dragons. And another reason, and this is less of a reason, I admit, it's the fact that it's just bad. It's just bad. And honestly, the people who actually paid, the people who paid to have this show made deserve better. They deserve to have quality content And they're not getting it. They're not getting it. They may think they have been, but honestly, I know that I am apparently one of the fewer people who think differently. I see the world differently when it comes to animation like this and when it comes to story like this. Whether or not I'm right or wrong, I like to think that I'm able to see things through an objective lens as opposed to a subjective one. And I let you know when it's a hunch rather than a fact. But in any case, that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'll continue to do this. Depending on how things turn out, I might do this tomorrow before I go to work, or more likely Sunday before I go to work. But in any case, that's it for me tonight. That was episode 2 of The Legend of Vox Machina, the TV show. And thank you all for joining me, for those of you who did. Thanks for sticking around. And episode 3. Episode 3 is coming. Do svidania.